A research objective versus a research question is something that is difficult to grasp when you start to get into teaching, or even after you've taught for a long time, because it's really that piece of information or entity that you want to imprint on a student. And that's a lot different than saying, well, my teaching question is, does activity A help in the process of getting to B? Whereas a learning objective is, we have this overarching goal for this part of what we're trying to do, and it's to understand this or to gain a competency in this. So when you begin to put in a TAR project that's helping you get to that learning objective, you need to assess whether that objective has been, not whether you answered the question, whether or not you're getting to that objective, you're imprinting that competency or piece of information or conceptual framework onto the student.
In our job, I mean, working with the TAR fellows, the graduate students and the postdocs, and defining their learning objectives for their project, it's sort of a pull, right? Because in some ways they've defined their research question, but they don't yet know what the metrics are going to be. And as you say, the metrics have to be associated with the outcomes of the project, of the implementation, for the undergraduate students in the class, right? Mm-hmm. And so a really well-defined learning objective is so critical because it allows them to measure something, to create their surveys, to create their metrics going forward, that gives them the data, as you say, that allows them to answer that bigger research question. One of the interesting things that we see happening with the TAR projects in defining learning objectives is really an interesting interaction between the TAR fellows and the faculty that they're partnering with, because often in the courses in which they're working and implementing and solving a problem, sometimes those learning objectives are not too well defined. So now you have your TAR fellow going out and working with that faculty member, helping them define their own learning objectives for a unit or a sequence of the course. Whether it's, changing how worksheets are done or changing, what students are doing in laboratories or things like that. And what we find is that the TAR fellows gain a real appreciation for that curriculum piece that's so critical, as you point out, and they gain an appreciation for sort of negotiating a kind of a interesting space with a faculty member in their course.
And it's so amazing to watch how not a one-way street it is. Because you get in this mindset of thinking, the TAR fellow is the person learning how to be part of the future professoriate. Mm-hmm. But what it really is that's happening, sure. But the current professoriate is being educated by the TAR fellow. Right. And it's a great...
Happens all the time.
Yeah, upward movement.